This is War in My Head, written by Branden Hill, and read for you by Simon Elgar. Introduction by Patty Hardin. I can't say I understand what Branden Hill went through during his deployment to Afghanistan, or what he is going through now, because I don't. I have had no direct experience with combat. Sure, I've seen war on TV, in the movies, and read about it in the papers. However, that will never equate with real-time experience. Hill fought a physical war in Afghanistan. When he left there, he may have left combat behind, but he brought a different war home with him, the war in his head. When a veteran returns from experiencing the violence of combat, his or her family, friends, or co-workers are understandably excited to welcome the veteran home. Eventually, family members, friends, or co-workers may assume life will return to normal for the veteran. How can our veterans who experience the violence of combat be expected to, or expect to, return home, leaving the demons behind? Sadly, for too many of these veterans, their return home isn't a return to normal, combat-free life. They are unable to deal with the horrors of combat, and so, to escape the horrors, these veterans take their own lives. When Hill sought someone to help him write his story, he found my name and contact information. When I sought stories from Vietnam veterans for the anthology Welcome Home, I wrote to the editor of Vietnam Veterans of America magazine. I told him my plan, and gave my contact information. At this point, I had no idea if I would get any responses or not. Maybe Hill had the same idea when he found my contact information. I don't know. Sadly, there is often a stigma or a sense of shame associated with asking for help. There should be no shame or embarrassment connected to asking for help. Every one of us has needed help at some point in our lives. It could be mental, physical, or financial help that might be needed. I applaud Hill for his courage in telling his story, with the goal of helping himself and other veterans work through their demons, born in wartime experiences. Too many veterans commit suicide every day, and they need to know they aren't alone and help is out there, Hill said. My goal is to tell my story, and to let other veterans know they aren't alone in the fight. It takes courage to reach out for family or friends to ask for help. It takes even more courage to reach out to a stranger for help. There's always the chance a stranger will ignore the request, sending the person who asks for help back to square one in his or her search for assistance. When someone asks for help, if you are able to give it, you should at the very least make an effort. Hill asked for my help writing his story. I was willing to help. He could have told his story, had I opted out of helping, by finding another writer. On the other hand, I could have ignored Hill's email, deleted the email, or answered it saying I wasn't interested. Something in his request stopped me from doing any of those things. Perhaps one of the reasons veterans don't want to talk about their experiences is the fear of judgment by their families, friends, or members of their communities. It is not our place to judge what these veterans did or didn't do during their deployment. Our responsibility is to listen, without criticism or judgment. Writing his story down means Hill will only have to tell it once instead of repeating it multiple times, bringing up bad memories over and over. It is his hope that those who read his book will have a better understanding of what he and other veterans go through during war and after war. It is my hope this book will provide some understanding to those who seek it and some measure of peace for Branden Hill. Signed by Patty Hardin. Chapter 1. Courage or Weakness. And I thought if I would ask for help, that would be a sign of weakness. Courage. When you hear that word, what comes to mind? Firemen rescuing people from a burning building? A Coast Guard rescue swimmer plunging into ice-cold water to save someone? Or maybe a civilian pulling a person from a vehicle engulfed in flames? These are excellent examples of courage, but the professionals involved would be the first to tell you they aren't heroes. They weren't being courageous. The common response to being called a hero or courageous? I was just doing my job, or my training kicked in. A civilian would say much the same thing. I'm not a hero or brave. I did what had to be done. But there is another kind of courage, not visible like the above examples. That is the act of asking someone for help. This is something many people have trouble with, thinking the mere act of asking for assistance of any kind is a sign of weakness. Quite the opposite. It takes a great deal of courage for a person to admit
Sample complete. Ready to continue?